Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the April 12th, 2022 meeting of the Pequannock Township Council. Ms. Liberto?
In accordance with the requirements of New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was included in the annual meeting notice, which was filed in the office of the Township Clerk, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, published as a legal notice in the Suburban Trends newspaper, and distributed to all persons requesting notice in accordance with Township policy.
Okay, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a prayer and a moment of thanks for individuals serving our nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Most gracious Providence, we ask that you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding, so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and general welfare for all the people of Pequannock Township. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Okay, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Dreese? Mr. Hurt?
Here.
Mr. Cole?
Here.
Mrs. Russell? Here. Mayor Florence Lynch?
Here. All right, first item on the agenda is presentation of the New Jersey Association State Chiefs of Police.
Well, thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm the Chief of Police, for the people that don't know. I want to thank the council and Township Manager Brewer for their support over the years with the accreditation process. Not only their emotional support, but their financial support. It is a little bit of a cost for the accreditation, but it is also a savings for the town in the long run. So about 7 or 8 years ago, we decided that we were going to become an accredited department. At that time, a lot of our guys, including myself probably, I think I was a sergeant becoming a lieutenant, we kind of went into it kicking and screaming, and at this point, I think our guys are all on board with it. I think they actually appreciate what the level of professionalism that it brings us. So I want to thank my guys for being on board and always doing the right thing, making sure that they're there to help us through the process. A little bit about accreditation for those that don't know what it is, and I'm going to turn it over to Harry Delgado, who's from the association, in a few minutes. But from the police side of it, basically we establish policies, procedures, rules, and regulations. Those coincide with Attorney General guidelines, and we have to meet those standards as best practice standards, and then we have to show proofs that we are meeting those standards. It's a long process. There's 3 years between each accreditation process. After our initial, we've been reaccredited twice. This is our second time around. I do want to thank Captain Kevin Nelson, who's now retired. He started this last 3-year process, and he turned it over to Captain Bob Brown, who really took over and took it to the next level. He did an outstanding job, so I appreciate the work that he put in on this. It is a thankless job, so thank you, Captain Brown. So getting back to the accreditation itself, we have to, like I said, meet the best practice standards, show proofs. We have a on-site visit towards the end of the 3 years. This year was virtual. We brought them around the department, and then we had a review panel with the New Jersey State Chiefs Association, which we went in front of about 2 months ago, and we ended up doing very well. So we were approved for reaccreditation. It's a big achievement for us. Like I said, it's a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of effort, and I'm just proud that we were able to accomplish the reaccreditation again for a third time. So I'm going to bring up Harry Delgado. He's the Accreditation Program Director for the New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police, and he's going to give you a little bit more information about accreditation and present the certificate to myself and Accreditation Manager, Captain Brown. Thank you, Harry.
think the chief is being very humble and he's not giving himself a lot of credit for what they have accomplished. I'm here to recognize your police department for joining a very exclusive group of law enforcement agencies that have made this kind of commitment to accreditation. When the chiefs talk about standards, in the state of New Jersey, there's 112 standards, many of which require multiple proofs of compliance. So it's a big job. It's a significant task. It's remarkable to have it achieved it not only once, not only twice, but 3 times. And so what that does is to add some context to what I'm about to say. So out of potentially, shy of 600 agencies in the state of New Jersey that would be eligible to apply for accreditation, there's about 44% of them have actually achieved accreditation once. But when you consider someone that has gone through this cycle 3 times, as the Pequannock Police Department has done, you fall within an exclusive group of less than 12% law enforcement agencies in the state of New Jersey that have achieved, that distinction. So if you're indulging for a couple of minutes, I just simply want to share with you the significance of the achievement and what accreditation actually does for a police department and for a township. So the Pequannock Police Department has made a commitment to adhering to best practices at the state and national level in a highly regarded statewide law enforcement accreditation program. This program, administered through the New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police and the New Jersey Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission, has helped to transparently demonstrate the professionalism and preparedness of state's law enforcement agencies. The New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police Law Enforcement Accreditation Program is purposefully designed to enhance the professionalism and transparency in the state's public safety system. During these uniquely challenging times and the threat to our health and safety, encouraging law enforcement agencies to follow standardized practices and policies is a potentially life-saving and cost-effective investment of time and resources. Accreditation gives an agency a preparedness plan and verification of excellence. So accreditation status represents a significant professional achievement. Accreditation is a process in which the Pequannock Police Department has been involved for just shy of about 9 years. The foundation of accreditation lies in the adoption of standards containing a clear statement of professional objectives. Accreditation is a progressive and time-proven way of helping law enforcement agencies calculate and improve their overall performances. It is a certification by an independent reviewing authority, the New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police, that the accredited agency was carefully measured against an established set of state and national standards. And I am proud to say here, as the chief mentioned before, very humbly I should say, in the case of the Pequannock Police Department, has in many instances exceeded accepted practices in the field of law enforcement. Now, I know that citizens typically ask me, so what's in it for me? So there is something for you. Research shows that accredited agencies have 11% fewer police professional liability claims, 11% fewer workers' compensation claims, and 31% fewer auto liability claims. Moreover, municipalities that participate in a male-affiliated joint insurance fund stand to receive substantial insurance premium discounts when their police department attains accreditation. But in addition to these fiscal advantages, there are other benefits of accreditation. Accredited agencies are better able to defend against lawsuits and citizen complaints. Accreditation provides objective evidence of an agency's commitment to excellence in leadership, resource management, and service delivery. They provide a service in the most cost-effective way. Government officials can be more confident in the agency's ability to operate efficiently and meet community needs. And accreditation embodies the precepts of community-oriented policing. It creates a forum in which police and citizens work together to prevent and control challenges confronting law enforcement and provide clear direction about community expectations. Officers in accredited agencies, as I see many here tonight, can take pride that they have been objectively recognized for their professionalism and adherence to the high standards. And before I close, I wanted to mention that, as the chief stated before, at the end of those 3-year cycles, when you have to actually be, when we have to conduct another on-site, literally on-site, and review all those policies and procedures to make sure that an agency remains in compliance, because the task of getting accredited is easier than maintaining accreditation. So there's a report that is generated that I review, and then it ends up in the hands of the commissioners for a hearing like the chief described before. But I just want to mention, just paraphrase something that the assessors on site, or the assessors that conducted the assessment stated. Challenged with significant changes in leadership, command staff, and personnel responsibilities, the agency has responded with a thorough training plan and has remained fully engaged in the community. Internal affairs complaints are at their lowest level in years, and community support has resulted in frequent accolades and commendations. So under the leadership of Chief Camille, the agency written directive manual was very comprehensive and exceeded all the established accreditation standards. It is the opinion of the assessment team that the Pequannock Police Department is a highly professional and committed agency which exemplifies all of the tenets of law enforcement accreditation at the state and national level. So it is indeed my honor here tonight, on behalf of the New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police and the New Jersey Law Enforcement Commission, to congratulate Chief Daniel Commune, Accreditation Manager Captain Robert Brown, the members of the Pequannock Police Department, the Mayor, Deputy Mayor, the Council, and those citizens that they so proudly serve for achieving state accreditation a third time, joining a very exclusive group of law enforcement agencies that have made this important commitment to excellence in policing. So to all, indeed, congratulations.
Too late.
You got a camera?
Who has the camera? Right?
Yeah, I'll grab it.
You got one?
Wait, not taking a selfie?
No, they're gonna have like 10 of them.
There you go. What a good-looking group. Good, Tom? Good. All right, thank you.
My pleasure.
Chief, thank you so much. Congratulations. Thanks for all your hard work.
That's right, thank you.
That's awesome.
Good job, Bob.
Hey, Dan.
What's that?
Oh, spin the podium around, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, great job, All right.
Guys, thank you for your professionalism.
Thank you, guys.
For all your hard work.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congrats. Okay. What do you think? Go down, stay up. Okay. So the next item on the agenda is another presentation we'd like to make to the township. As you know, this month is Autism Awareness Month. In 1970, the Autism Society launched an ongoing nationwide effort to promote autism awareness and assure that all affected by autism are able to achieve the highest quality of life possible. Our community organizations and schools have been instrumental in supporting autism awareness, so the council would like to recognize the contributions of the community and present the community by entering into the record a proclamation of autism awareness for the month of April. Whereas autism is a pervasive developmental disorder affecting the social, communication, and behavioral skills of those affected by it, and whereas more health professionals become proficient in diagnosing autism, more children are being diagnosed on the autism spectrum, resulting in rates as high as 1 in 68 children nationally and 1 in 45 in New Jersey. And whereas while there is no cure for autism, it is well documented that if individuals with autism receive early and intensive treatment throughout their lives, they lead significantly improved lives. And whereas individuals with autism often require a lifetime of specialized and community support services to ensure their health and safety and support families' resilience as they manage the psychological and financial burdens autism can present. And whereas Autism New Jersey is spearheading an awareness effort in order to educate parents, professionals, and the general public about autism and its effects. Now therefore, on behalf of the Township of Pequannock and its residents, Mayor Melissa Florence Lynch and the members of the Township Council do hereby proclaim April 2022 as Autism Awareness Month in the Township of Pequannock and urge all employees and residents to become better educated about autism and create a better community for individuals with autism. So thank you, community. Next, we have reports from volunteers. So I'm going to ask if there's any volunteers in the community that would like to come up and give their report. Hi, Janice.
Hi, Janice Mangieri, 17 Foothills Drive. I just wanted to give you an update. Pequannock Cares has been going now since the beginning of the year, so I wanted to give you guys an update of where we're at now. As you know, we had our first event in the winter time. We had our kickoff. Since then, last month we had our Paint and Sip fundraiser, which was a great event. We had a wonderful turnout, a lot of support from the community. Last week, April 2nd, was that last week before, we had our fun run, which was for the younger kids in town, which was really a great turnout. Thank goodness we had enough T-shirts and numbers for all the kids. We had to finally shut down registration. It was a really good turnout, a lot of fun. Right now we're in the process of selecting our next townwide event. We'll announce that once we've got something selected. And just a reminder, we still have on our Facebook page, you might have to dig down a little because we've got a lot of pictures of all the fun events, a little survey where you can vote or even suggest future events that you'd like to see in the town. Thank you so much. Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Take care.
Anyone else for reports? No. Okay, next on the agenda is public comment. This public comment period will be limited to a total of 30 minutes. An additional period for public comment is reserved later in the meeting. Individuals requesting to come up, please address the council, wait to be recognized, and come to the microphone. Anyone for public comment? Hi.
Amelia Molinaro, 50th 3rd Street. I'm Amelia Molinaro. I'm a student, a lesbian, and someone who went to the town hall meeting on March 22nd. I went there with the intention of not speaking, but I did end up speaking. I spoke from the heart with only my passion. I'm back here today to speak again, this time after taking a couple days to think and discuss. Councilman DeRisi said on March 8th, I'm proud of the state of Florida because they're not going to teach sex ed to 5, 6, and 7-year-olds. What Mr. DeRisi unprofessionally spoke about at the town hall meeting was the Parental Right in Education Bill, which has been suitably called the Don't Say Gay Bill. Your words have a negative and damaging tone to those who are part of the LGBTQ community. There are a few concepts and ideas in that statement that are incorrect. To start at what you said and what is actually in the Don't Say Gay Bill, it looks like you misunderstood it. Throughout generations, there have been many groups who have faced discrimination. In those years, it was socially acceptable to have those beliefs. Times have changed, society has progressed, and homophobia, which was once acceptable, is no longer tolerable behavior. Sex education is not the same as highlighting LGBTQ representation and inclusion in classrooms. I just took sex education at our very high school, and we were taught about birth control, STI prevention, and signs of dating abuse, which is all age-appropriate for high school students. We can trust our teachers to create an age-appropriate and welcoming environment for all our young students. A queer representation is reading books with LGBTQ families for young kids. That's what it is. And in 2021, Councilman DeRisi ran for office under the slogan, Family First. When I, Amelia Molinaro, heard this slogan, I believed that it meant you care for me, my family, and everyone's family in this town. But this slogan, combined with your words from the last meeting, are misleading to me and many people in our community. Those words make it seem like you only care about your family and the families that resemble yours. Do you truly care for everyone's family? Family isn't just a mom and dad. Family is a group of people who love each other. Just like you, I have a family. Just like students who aren't gay, I work hard in school and take care of my friends. I have a mom and dad, and when I told them I was gay, they told me it didn't matter, that they would love me no matter who I loved. Queer people don't get to choose to be gay. However, you get a choice. You get to choose whether you want to be on the right or wrong side of history. I know what side I will be on. Do you? To anyone here who's a member of the LGBTQ community, if you're struggling, the hotline for the Trevor Project is 1-866-488-7386, or text START to 678-678. You're loved, supported, and we want you around.
Okay, anyone else?
Good evening. My name is John Martin, Tandela Avenue, Pompton Plains. And I'm here this evening to address the interruption of a speaker by a member of the town council at the last meeting.
Excuse me, sir. I don't mean to interrupt you.
But you are.
No. Can you just go back from the microphone a little bit?
Oh.
It's overthrowing the speakers, and we're not.
How's this now?
Recording.
Is that good now?
That's better.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Ironically enough, I believe the speaker's First Amendment rights were violated when he was attempting to speak against the bill that I think a lot of other people are here to speak against today. A lot of people, myself included, perceive that as a violation of the First Amendment right to free speech. Leaving aside the debates about Florida's Don't Say Gay bill that were randomly injected into the meeting of the body by Councilman Dreese, and leaving aside my personal disagreement with those statements, there's no dispute that Councilman Dreese had a First Amendment right to say what he said. But it's equally true that the residents of this community have a First Amendment right to address this body and voice their displeasure with the councilman for his statements during the meeting without interruption by any member of the council. Indeed, New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act requires that the council set aside a portion of its meetings for comment on any matter that a member of the public feels may be of concern to the residents of the municipality. And when that fundamental right is interrupted by a member of the council, for no other reason than the council's displeasure with the speaker's opinion, the council or the member is violating that speaker's First Amendment rights of free speech. Now, I believe last week one of our speaker's First Amendment rights were violated, and it appears from viewing prior meetings of the council that the event was not an isolated incident. That seems to happen whenever a member of this council disagrees with certain speakers, and I think the behavior has to stop. I've confirmed that the council doesn't have a policy governing public comment and general decorum at its public meetings, at least one that was responsive to an open public records request. So I think the town needs to adopt such a policy to make it clear to its members that they are prohibited from interrupting a speaker exercising their First Amendment right to address the council. Well, I believe that developing such a policy is an appropriate thing to do for a more orderly and streamlined meeting process. As a taxpayer, I have more selfish motivations. I just don't want my tax money being spent on lawyer bills for defending the council or its members for doing something foolish at a public meeting that ends up getting the council sued. And I fear that knowledge and acquiescence to repeated First Amendment violations by the council makes the entire body equally culpable as a matter of law. I respectfully request that the council address this by developing a policy on civility and decorum for a more orderly public meeting. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Andrew Camp. I'm a resident of Pompton Plains. I came to the last town council meeting on Tuesday, March 22nd, to speak out against the bigotry that Mr. Dreese demonstrated, and I was rudely interrupted by Councilman Hurd. Not only is it extremely unprofessional, rude, and disrespectful to interrupt somebody while they're speaking, but it violates my freedom of speech as depicted by the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, which somebody else just pointed out. Alarmingly, the Pequannock Town Council doesn't have any bylaws or ordinances governing how public comment and issues of this nature are handled during town council meetings. It appears that the rest of your meeting follows something called Robert's Rules of Order, which state that interrupting somebody is only acceptable for urgent matters like actual emergencies. You, unfortunately, are under the false impression that you have the right to interrupt people whenever you see fit. You do not have that right, however, as I have already explained, and you've also violated unwritten laws of polite society. Not only did you think it was acceptable to interrupt one of your constituents while they were making a statement during the public comment section of a town council meeting, which is not a question and answer or a debate, but when I tried to correct you on your misinformation, which I took the time out of my busy schedule to research and present to you, you also spoke over the mayor, who tried to politely ask you to stop. You then began ignoring me and my comments and asked questions of Paul Mailer, who had already spoken. What made you think that it was acceptable to interrupt during my presentation? If you had a question for Mr. Mailer, you could have taken it up with him after the meeting. Was it because you were uncomfortable with so many people coming to the town council to speak out? Was it because I'm a young adult who looks visibly different and you took that as an invitation to discredit and disrespect my voice and speak over me? Was it because you have no understanding of how to behave in polite society? Who's to say? Your apparent lack of empathy shows very clearly that you should not be involved in any form of leadership position, much less in local government, where your personal beliefs and political opinions have very little to do with the municipal work that this town council oversees. I'm in no way surprised that an elected leader from this community is speaking over minorities, expressing concerns for their safety and well-being in our town, but I'm disappointed that this is still happening in this day and age. I wrote an email to you and every member of town council on April 2nd, not only to call you out on your deplorable behavior, but to officially demand a formal apology from you, to me and to all of the members of town council that you've interrupted in the past. I have not received a reply from a single member of town council, so I've come here to confront you again. If you do not formally and meaningfully apologize for your actions, I will be pursuing legal action. I understand that I'm not the first person you have rudely interrupted during town council meetings, but I must be the last. If you do not feel you can control yourself while executing your official duties, then you must resign from town council. Every citizen of this town deserves to have our voices heard and respected and our rights protected. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Henry Samick, 4 Misty Court, the Township of Pequannock. I come to you this evening because I've been a bit upset of what I've heard and what I've read. But before I get into that, I just want to address something to the Township Manager. Has the Department of Energy of the state of New Jersey gotten in touch with you about the scam that's going on with solar?
Not that comes to mind, but if you'd like to follow up with me after the meeting, I'd be happy to talk about it further.
All right, well, I can just briefly tell you the Department of Energy, people have been going out and posing as electrical contractors. I don't know how they haven't been taking out permits, let's put it that way. They've been doing the solar work, and it happens in South Orange, where I work, they got caught. Right? And it's a scam. The Department of Energy, believe it or not, paid the bill, the entire bill on the solar installation without any permits, without any consultation with our building department in terms of, what happened and how this got by without permits. So I'm just letting you know ahead of time, this is something to watch out for in our town, in our municipality, right? Because I just learned about it this past week. Happened to be a resident called, right? So I don't know if the Department of Energy reached out to the different municipalities in the state of New Jersey or not. But the U.S. Attorney, the State Attorney General's office has been made notified and been made aware of it. Anyway, getting back to what I wanted to talk about. John, how are you? I haven't seen you in a while. Did you get my email?
No.
You didn't? All right, well, I had sent it to you. And basically, all 5 people that are up on the council represent the entire community, regardless of their persuasion, regardless of who they may be. It is what it is, and they are what they are. And your opinion is nice. If you want to keep it to yourself, that's fine. But you don't have to broadcast it. All right? Really, you don't have to broadcast it. All right? I have opinions too. Our President of the United States has opinions. He's a Catholic. Okay? He may be against abortion, but do you hear him talking about it? Do you hear him broadcasting it? He's the leader of our country. You're the leader, or one of the leaders of our town, out of the 5. And I would hope that you would take that into consideration before you go out and make statements. Statements are very hurtful and harmful. That was what I put in my email. That's why I thought you had gotten it, because I sent it to you.
Which email did you send it to? The town one?
No, yeah, the township. Yeah.
All right, I'll look for it.
Oh, it's there.
I haven't seen it though.
All right. And Mr. Hurd?
You can resend it if you want. Frank's telling me that they can't hear me because I don't have a microphone. I think they're trying to tell me something.
All right, I did send it to you. And I've known you for a long time, and I'm surprised.
I will take a look for it. I honestly didn't.
I was really surprised when I heard you had made that comment.
Okay.
And Mr. Hurd, AP isn't a hoax. No more than it's a hoax about what Russia is doing to those people over there in Ukraine. They're not staged. They're dying. It's not a fake. It's not witchcraft, or whatever you might want to call it, okay? It's the truth, and it's real. It's life. Those people are dying because they want to be free. They want to be, people came to this country, right, for freedom of religion, to be free. People are still wanting to come to our country to be free. But if people are going to go out and single these people out and ostracize them and criticize what they're doing, calling them murderers and thieves and whatever you may want to, that's not right either. We all have to live together. There's a hatred that has come into our country that has been brought out. 359 militia groups are all no good, are all full of hatred, and they want to murder. They want to kill people, okay? The Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys, all of these people are no good, right? They're like the Nazis, except we refer to them as neo-Nazis. And some places around New Jersey, years ago, we called them the Bund, if you know what the Bund is.
Never heard of that in my life.
I know you didn't. A lot of people don't. They were up in Oak Ridge, a lot of them. They were neo-Nazis. They were on Parker Street in Passaic. When my father was 19 years old, they had a meeting over there. My father and a fellow by the name of Ray Claus pulled the fuses out of the service. They thought the FBI was going to raid them, and they took off. They beat it out of the building. Neo-Nazis still exist. They haven't gone away, and they're getting more powerful. Right? The numbers of these groups are getting worse and worse, and more. We got to stop hatred in our country. We got to stop going out and calling people, they are what they are. It is what it is. Accept them. Accept them, because they're not going to change. They're not going to change for you. They're not going to change for me. There's no reason for them to change for them. Please, you all represent our township. You all represent the people that live here. But we respect them all. I'm wearing this mask because I respect people. It has nothing to do with rights. It's a health situation. Okay? Yeah, we have rights, but this is not right. This is health. This has to do with preventing others from getting sick, or even preventing me from getting sick, even though I've had my 2 vaccinations and my booster. But you have to do the right thing on behalf of the citizens, because if you don't, then you don't belong where you are. I served there too. I sat there. My interest was not in one person or 2 people. It was the entire community. Cedar Crest. You seen that? Bob Oostdike can tell you. Who's responsible for Cedar Crest, Bob?
Oh, many people.
Yeah, but who was the one that got a call from Michael Krause from Wayne? They didn't want it in the American Scientific Tract, so they took it here. He called me.
Okay. Didn't remember that, Henry.
Okay.
Yeah.
He called me. Wayne Rush in Walker from Erickson Properties, the vice president, came to me. That's why you have Cedar Crest. Legacy Castleman near Bedan sold Cedar Crest for $14 million. They sold the property, 330 acres. Okay? Why did I do it? Because at one time when I was on the school board, Peter Scangarella got up and said, if you can't afford to pay the taxes in town, move to Florida, like my parents did. And I said to myself, well, that's kind of stupid. His parents have to move to Florida. How are they ever going to see their grandchildren? Once in a while? So when I had that opportunity, I jumped on it right away. They didn't build that development on American Scientific property. They built it here on agriculture property. And then I told Mayor Bedan, after he sold the property, to go out. Berkeley Bank in Florida had all the bad notes from those 5 people that formed the corporation to build the office buildings over at McDonald's Beach. He bought that property for $660,000, 45 and a half acres with the water. I was involved. I went to see Mike Video. We needed an entrance off of Route 23 somewhere. There were 13 acres on Route 23. Mike Video says, $2 million, it's yours. I went back to Erickson, I talked to them, $2 million, no problem. They paid for it, the town got it, we annexed it to our township, they zoned it commercial, they got rid of the single-family dwelling, then you didn't have to build schools, no more children. It stabilized our taxes from then on. A lot of people don't know. All right, because I didn't go out and make a big scene of it. I didn't broadcast it. But Larry Blomberg mentioned it when he gave me when I retired from the council. And he gave me that proclamation. It's on there. And also the 4-way stop sign on the corner of Mountain Avenue and West Parkway. That's because a fellow lost his wife when the guy was going sleigh riding with his children. He got distracted, he went through the stop sign, hit the car on the passenger side and killed his wife. So I got the DOT, Sullivan at the time, to go out and have a 4-way stop sign put there. I did this for the township. I didn't do it for me. I did it for the people. I didn't do it for me. Everything I ever did in my entire life was to help my community wherever I lived. And that's all I wanted to do, is help my community. And you people up there, all 5 of you, should do the same thing. Forget about how you feel internally. Forget about your own personal opinions. Think about your community as a whole. Do it for them, not for yourself, not for your personal interests or how you feel. Do it for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. All right. There being no additional public comment, we will move on and continue with the agenda. I'm going to turn to the manager's report. Mr. Brewer.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. 4 quick items to report on. The first is, I appreciate the council's indulgence. There was a revised agenda sent out today with 3 additional resolutions supporting the submission of a request to our federal legislators for an application for a community project, or a support for a community project, which is our remediation of PFAS. So the opportunity exists to try to bring some federal dollars back to the township. The council sees favorably to act on those in approval tonight. It's an opportunity for us to try to get support for a project, otherwise we would have to ask the ratepayers for it. At a previous meeting, there was a question and a request for, I believe, a 4-way stop at the intersection of Birch Road and Davis Avenue. As a result of that request, the township engineer undertook a study and provided a report which is included with my memo this evening. Essentially, and getting right to the bottom line of 2 pages, the warrants for a 4-way stop aren't necessarily met based upon traffic, accident history, etc. However, there are a number of ideas to address some of the traffic issues that were reported to be a concern. Specifically, increased enforcement, striping, whether it be center line or fog lines around the side, because if you narrow a roadway, people drive more slowly. Bump outs at the corners, which is something to consider when we do the road reconstruction, as well as a narrowing of the roadway, which has a bunch of effects, including decreased stormwater runoff, and again, you have a narrower roadway for speed. So I just wanted to report back to the council and the public on that response to that question. So if anybody wants me to reach out to the gentleman that approached the council, I'd be happy to, but that is the township engineer's report on that subject.
Are there things we can do immediately to address it, whether it's enforcement or what have you?
Striping we can do immediately, and it's not something that comes with a cost that requires a capital appropriation for a future year, so we just have to make sure it's not inconsistent with the neighborhood, and we don't have one goofy street that doesn't look like the rest of the streets, because that wouldn't be good, but yes, there are actions that we can take, and the enforcement is obviously something that can always be taken.
I don't think any of those side streets have double yellow lines going down them, so I would be objective to that.
Yeah, the fog lines, I think, might be the best. Enforcement, I think, is always first, right? Enforce what you have to see if that has a positive effect. But as everyone who's had speeding on their road, as everyone who has had speeding on the road knows, when the police officer sits there, everybody slows down. And then the police officer leaves and everybody drives faster. So the physical improvement would the paint would be on the sides, I think, might be the first actual thing to approach from our perspective. And then when it's time to reconstruct the roadway or resurface the roadway, narrowing it would be a positive.
Big money.
Yeah.
It depends on what's involved in terms of curbing.
And if you don't mind, yes, you can reach out to the resident.
Okay, be happy to.
Report back.
This evening, there's an ordinance scheduled for public hearing and potential action. Mr. Osteich has a report on that, so I will pass the baton.
Okay. That's an ordinance to vacate the lane. As you might recall from the last meeting, we had a resident here who also has hired an attorney and is working on some private rights to the lane and has requested that we put off action on this while they work on getting that straightened out with their neighbor. And I spoke with the attorney after our meeting and followed up recently, and we've been requested to hold it just one more meeting. They're working on it, they're almost done, and they just need one more meeting to move that. So when the time comes for that ordinance, we'll request that the council make a motion to adjourn the public hearing until April the 26th, which will be our next meeting. And I have indicated to the attorney that's when we'll move on it, and they understand that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And then the last item I have is also scheduled for the council's consideration this evening is a resolution authorizing a shared services agreement with the Borough of Lincoln Park for construction official and building subcode services. I love this stuff. It's like when you're trying to make cookies and you don't have any sugar and your neighbor's got sugar, so you run over your neighbor's house and they loan them some sugar. How do we decrease taxes in the state of New Jersey? There's not a lot of magic to do it, but there's something that Pequannock Township does really, really well, and that's the construction department. So the Borough of Lincoln Park had a need, they reached out. This is going to be on a 90-day trial period to see how it works for everybody, but ultimately the goal will be to have the Borough of Lincoln Park save money, have the Township of Pequannock make a little bit of money, take care of the staff that's doing a little bit of extra work, and move forward. How do we make 565 municipalities more cost-effective? Not having 565 everythings. So my compliments to everybody involved. The council had some direction for me in a previous meeting in closed session. I thank you all for that. So that is scheduled for this evening's potential execution. The Borough of Lincoln Park has already approved.
Right. And what's important about the 90-day trial is we want to make sure that our residents are taken care of and that it doesn't affect our residents.
Everybody has to win or it's not worth building. So thank you very much. That concludes my reports unless there's any questions.
Nope. Anybody have a question? Nope.
Nope.
Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda is a public hearing on ordinance number 2022-05. Ms. Liberto.
Yeah, I think that's the one we just...
I'm sorry, that's the one we're moving.
It is, but we are going to need a motion to carry it.
To carry it.
I'll make a motion to carry it to
All
our
right.
next meeting on the 26th.
I'll second.
All right, just all in favor? Is that how we do that? Or do you have to do?
That's fine.
All right.
Aye.
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 Yeah, it's
Okay, and we already talked, so you don't have any more comments on that? Okay. All right, so next on the agenda would be ordinances for introduction. So Ms. Liberto, can you read that, please?
Ordinance establishing minimum and maximum salaries and pay rates for designated officials and employees of the Township of Pequannock.
All right, Mr. Brewer, any comments?
Thank you, Mayor. This is the annual legislative action that the council undertakes to authorize payment for those individuals who are not covered by a collective bargaining or negotiated contract, so the non-represented employees. If there's any questions on the specific changes in the ordinance, I'd be happy to add them. They are bolded to call them out to your attention.
Any questions from anyone on that?
Nope.
All right, can I have a motion to introduce this ordinance on first reading?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dreese?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Can I vote on this, Bob?
You can vote on this one. It does not involve the police department.
And Mayor Florence Lynch.
Yes. Okay. Next on the agenda is resolutions. So, Ms. Liberto, can you read through resolutions by number and title?
R 2022-86, approving the designated special event permit application for the Chamber of Commerce's Street Fair. 2022-87, supporting the submission of a request for the community project funding to the Office of U.S. Senator Cory Booker for the mitigation remediation of PFOS. 2022-88, supporting the submission of a request for the community project funding to the Office of U.S. Senator Mickey Sherrill for the mitigation remediation of PFOS. 2022-89, supporting the submission of a request for the community project funding to the Office of U.S. Senator Robert Menendez for the mitigation remediation of PFOS. 2022-90, authorizing the execution of a shared services agreement between the Township of Pequannock and Borough of Lincoln Park for the construction official and building subcode official services. 2022-91, authorizing acceptance of a hold harmless agreement for Michael and Nicole Kovalars, 19 Hoyle Drive. 2022-92, authorizing the execution of a trail easement agreement with Phillips Edison and Company. And 2022-93, approving payment on the itemized claims as set forth on the April 7th, 2022 bill list.
All right, thank you. Are there any comments on the resolutions from council?
Just great work reaching out and doing these resolutions to the senator and congressman. Great job by you and the staff.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else?
Nope.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt these resolutions?
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution R 2022-86 through R 2022-93.
Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Reese?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mr. Paul?
Yes.
Ms. Russell? Yes. Mayor Florence Lynch?
Yes. All right, and there are no items listed for discussion tonight and no reports or notices on the agenda, so we can go right into council reports and announcements. Can I start with Councilman DeRisi?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Frank, I got my mic. How's that? Good? The Shade Tree Committee met, and I have a handout. Somebody had asked a while ago if they're going to hand out seedlings and trees and stuff. Turns out they are. So it's going to be, it's kind of like in association with Arbor Day, even though I don't think they're doing it on Arbor Day. It's going to be April 30th from 9 to 12 at the municipal building. They're going to be handing out seedlings. They're going to put it on Facebook and all that kind of good stuff. They talked about, they got the designation from Tree City USA, approved by the state, and the committee has been accredited by the state. So that's all good stuff. They did talk about a suggestion about getting a seventh member of the committee. So I'm not sure how that goes, or how they can, if they can just do that, or we got to do something. But they talked about it, so I said I'd ask. That was all for them. Also, the Historic Commission had met. I mentioned at the last meeting that one of the Boy Scouts was going to do a kiosk project for the museum, but supposedly the county is doing something. He says the county engineer said that they were planning a kiosk there, so it just seemed odd to me. So the chairman was going to follow up and find out exactly what's going on, because we don't need two, but I'd rather have the Boy Scout one, honestly, but that's okay. There's the Pathways event that is coming up. So on Sunday, May 1st, from 10 to 4, the museum will be open. The Martin Berry House will be open. I think that's a countywide Pathways event. They visit like historic places, and so
May 10th, you said?
May 1st,
May 1st.
from 10 to 4. So you had May and 10, so that was good. And then for the Memorial Day parade, they talked about being in Grace Chapel again, so they're trying to organize that, get some people set up for that, and they will be at the street fair and the hoedown. So that's that. Couple other things. The river cleanup was last weekend. It was good, except I didn't walk along the river. I walked along the railroad tracks. So I don't know if we can call it I don't know how it got its name, but
Townwide cleanup.
there you go. But it was good, and we got done about 30 seconds before the downpour, so that was even better. So I hope everybody made it back again. I usually like to thank specific people during my rant here. So I just wanted to specifically call out the volunteer firefighters and members of the first aid squad. They really, put their life on the line sometimes doing what they do. So, I mean, I really like to just thank them again for what they do and help protecting our town, especially with the first aid squad. They put on a couple CPR classes. Did anybody else go?
Not yet.
Not yet? All right. Make sure you sign up. It's good stuff, right? And anybody, try to sign up. They run a free class. It's right over here, Saturday, couple hours, 3, 4, 5 hours, whatever it is. But it's good stuff to know. Also, I saw a thing on the Facebook a little while ago, even though I don't go on it much, about, I think Colleen posted about something about thanking the Pequannock police dispatchers. Again, another, unsung hero group that if you call the police station, guess what? They pick up the phone.
Yeah.
And they kind of route everybody, they route the officers to where they have to go. So that was very good as well. And last thing is just to wish a blessed Easter to all the members of council, Mr. Brewer, Mr. Osteich,
Thank you.
Mr. Berto, and the Township of Pequannock. So that is all I have for tonight.
Great, thank you very much. All right, Councilman Hurd.
Thank you, Mayor. All right. First, congratulations for the Pequannock Police Department for their accreditation. That is pretty cool. Mayor's cleanup, I'm going to leave that to you, Mayor. But as John said, we got out of there, just a few minutes early, and then it downpoured. But I will say that out of, 10 plus years we've been doing it, this is probably the most amount of stuff that we packed up. I mean, bags of plenty. We called you. You were still here because we needed more bags.
Yeah.
That's how many, so.
That's because it rained so much, it all
Yeah, I know. I
washed
think
up.
everything ended up in Pequannock, unfortunately, this time. Let's see, open space. Do have a few things for my open space meeting. Adam, on the Fritz Lane, after we do a couple of the acquisitions, are we going to survey that property back there? We were looking at everything, and I was looking at Google Maps, and it gets really complicated with all those properties.
As the council may recall, there was a resolution authorizing the foreclosure at the last council meeting. Mr. Osteich and I have been discussing that. We've got some due diligence to do. Ultimately, if we did take possession, we would more than likely want to survey the property.
Okay. There's a lot of stuff going on back there.
Yes.
Excellent. While I was looking at that, and unfortunately because of the past rain and the flooding that we've had, I was looking at the property next door. Is there a concern with the amount of material that's there, or is it something that we shouldn't, it's not an issue?
We would have to check.
Okay. So if we can look into that, I can call you this week, we can go over it.
And I can have, the appropriate official can go out and we can see if there's enforcement action that's required or any other action.
I mean, just from this weekend and picking up all the garbage, it's just amazing how much stuff.
Sure.
So, let's see. Big news. Are you ready for the big news?
Sure.
This is not a trick. It's 100% true. The rail trail is having construction meetings next week.
Yeah.
They actually signed the contract. They're actually having construction meetings. So, I mean, the word around the street is it's actually going to happen within our lifetime.
That's right.
I don't know whether you're going to believe it, but, hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yep.
25 years.
Yeah, 25 years plus on this one. So let's see. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make the first aid squad because it was my son's first Little League game. Even though Little League, our opening day is April 23rd. I suggest everybody be there. It's going to be great. But just like today, it was beautiful. The majors started. I'm going to have to change my bedtime because we didn't start till 7:45 and didn't get done until 10. It's a whole nother world out there after dark, right? But they did awesome. I'm amazed at the quality program that Little League has been put on for years. I mean, we've been a part of it for years because of having 3 boys. But, like John was saying, there's so many people that are involved that you really just don't realize. And playing on the fields and underneath the lights and the fences, and it's just beautiful. It's awesome to be able to have that in our little town. So I want to thank everybody from Little League, and they're doing a great job as usual.
And the parade is next week?
The parade is
23rd.
April 23rd. Starts 8:30. Well, we have to gather at 8:30. It starts at 9 o'clock at PV. It goes from PV to Washington Park. It's going to be a blast. So pray for no rain. Beautiful day. What else do we have? Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Councilman Cole.
All right, Company 1 met on April 1st. They're currently doing driver qualifications. It's an ongoing thing this month. Local chiefs have been asked to meet regarding 287 corridor mutual response. It's been a long time since they've updated that, so they're asking all the local chiefs to meet for a meeting for that, to discuss that. Company 1 talked about nighttime response. Response has been a little weak lately, so the chief brought that up, asking everyone to please try to respond when they can. Company 2 will meet this Thursday. We had no planning board meeting the first Monday of the month, but the next meeting for planning board is scheduled for the 18th. There was a bunch of things that a few of us went to, so I'm only going to mention the one. The dedication up at Mountainside Park for former employee Niles Wallace was a very well attended. Melissa, myself, and Kyle Russell were there. It was a great dedication, very well attended by his family. And if you haven't seen the park bench, it's right when you start to go up the trail. Nice job by DPW and all that was involved, so please extend our thanks to that for making that all happen. Nice plaque on it, dedicating it to Niles Wallace, who was a former employee for the township for roughly 10 years at Parks and Rec. So just wanted to say Happy Easter and Happy Passover to everyone in council and all of our residents. Enjoy the time with your family, and that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Dave. Councilwoman Vessel.
Parks and Rec met, but the computer crashed. It was a Zoom meeting, so got nothing on that. Environmental meeting is tomorrow. The cleanup went well. I heard they collected as much, if not more, garbage than last year. Library meets on the 20th. It is a Zoom meeting. The Friends of the Library are having a 25th anniversary Friday on June 24th. 6:30 at the library, and the Guthrie Brothers will be playing at the library behind. It's a Simon and Garfunkel tribute band, so that should be a lot of fun. The CARES Run, we had a couple of us attended, Melissa, Dave, and myself. They did it in conjunction at the same time that the students did the run in the front, so it was great that everybody came together to do this awesome thing, and watching the older people run and the little kids, just watching them run all the way around the track, and first they'd be crying, and then they'd be running really fast and really slow. Almost like Mr. Portis, who ran the whole way, came back and they really tagged him with color. Mr. do you remember? He was like covered in all different color. It was so funny. So that was a great day. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. All right, as Kyle mentioned, 2 weekends ago, we had the pleasure of going to not one, but 2 color run events at the high school. Both events did help kick off Autism Awareness Month. There was one run by the Pequannock Township High School Student Council and was open to all ages. The event helped raise funds to support the students and their charitable efforts, including Autism Family Services. And then the CARES group also had an event at the high school track, which was the one Kyle was talking about. The kids had a lot of fun. The CARES group pulled off a wonderful, wonderful event for the kids. They all had fun, and part of those proceeds went to support autism as well. and help with raising awareness. So thank you for those 2 successful and fun events. And as Councilman Cole mentioned, on April 2nd, members of the council and myself went to the memorial bench dedication at Mountainside Park in honor of Niles Wallace, who was a former resident of Pequannock, and his grandson, who you might know, Kevin Hill. He was instrumental in getting it done. He had called me one day and said, hey, I was thinking about doing this. He took the ball and ran with it. He organized the whole thing. He raised the funds. He got the bench and coordinated with our township manager to get it installed. He picked out the location. And organized the whole day's events. He invited the family, friends, town representatives, and he just did a fantastic job in honoring his grandfather. Niles Wallace died last year at the age of 91. He worked for Parks and Rec Department for many years, and Dan Harper and Mike Casper from DPW worked with him back in the day, and they came out to the service to honor him as well, as did many other friends and family and town representatives. Retired Chief Montana also, was also there, and said a few words. So it was very moving. And as was mentioned, the bench is up there on Mountainside Park, not far from the water tower. It overlooks actually 287, and there's a nice plaque there in dedication to Mr. Wallace. What else? As was mentioned, our river cleanup went very well, even though we couldn't go near the river, and it was reported that there were about 42 volunteers came out, but they all worked real hard. We collected about 8 cubic yards of litter. There was probably more than 42 volunteers because some went right to their sites with their group and didn't report into the senior house. But 8 cubic yards of litter was great. And I have to thank Rudy Steinthal and the Environmental Commission for setting that up. He ran the whole thing. We supported him in doing it. We were a little iffy on whether it should take place because we had a lot of rain, leading up to that. And we did have, it was a minor flood event. I mean, it did actually hit some of the streets. Luckily, no one's homes. But he did a terrific job in making sure that we just went to the areas that needed to be addressed and got a lot of garbage. And he's already got the proposed date for next year for April 15th, so don't schedule anything else on that day. What else do we have? Anything else? Oh, and I do just want to thank the sponsors for the river cleanup. The Environmental Commission goes out every year and asks for donations from some of the businesses, and they make up good bags for people to take with them with the gloves and a snack and water and things like that. So thank you to Golden China Kitchen in Pequannock, My Bagel Heaven in Pequannock, Quick Check in Pompton Plains, ShopRite of Lincoln Park, TD Bank in Pompton Plains, and Walmart in Riverdale. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else. Just thank you to the town and DPW and the fire and police and everyone for helping us through the flood event.
Everybody did a good job.
We did a good job. So thank you, and that's all I have. Okay. All right. Next is public comment. If anyone would like to address the council, please come up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Anyone? All right, I have one here, Henry, and then you.
Hello, my name's Karen Camp. I live at 40 Band Ave, Pompton Plains. About Resolution R2022-88, Mikey Sherrill is our House of Representatives representative, not our U.S. Senator. I'm a little shocked that this body has that incorrect. We have 2 senators. We have Bob Menendez and Cory Booker. Mikey Sherrill is a District 11 House of Representatives. Can you please correct that on your resolution?
May I?
Yes.
It's a typographical error on the agenda, it's not on the resolution.
Oh, well, thank goodness for that. I was just surprised, and none of you mentioned it, you know. You guys are in government, so you should know these things.
Maybe in the future. Good pickup, thank you.
Yeah, good.
If you're aware of state politics at all, that should be kind of obvious. Anyway, the main reason I got up is to ask Mr. Hurd, are you really going to apologize to your constituent for your rudeness at the previous meeting?
No.
You're not going to apologize for your rudeness?
I have a First Amendment speech, so do you. Yours doesn't trump mine doesn't trump yours.
Well, I
We're a
really
free
rather not use
society,
that
like
word.
Mr. Samick was saying.
But
We're all entitled to our opinions, it's okay.
Attorney Blake, were you going to say something?
I think you were given an answer. An individual has a right to apologize or not, without minimizing the concern of the individual who was obviously felt disrespected by the events at the last meeting. Open public comment period is a time for the public to get up and comment.
I think the least that could have been done was somebody on the town council could have responded to the email that was sent. Did you receive the email, Councilman Hurd?
I've been away, unfortunately, so I haven't looked at it.
It was sent 10 days ago.
Mayor, the back and forth is not, this is a public comment period.
I understand, I just, you know.
And that's how we get into this a little bit in the first place, when we do the back and forth, and I think we're going to have to try to control that a little bit. The council here has always been pretty open to a back and forth with members of the public, and unfortunately, things get heated, things get back and forth, that becomes a little bit difficult to control. I personally felt the mayor did a really good job at the last meeting trying to control things and keep the conversation going. Unfortunately, there was what we were going to call maybe a breach of decorum as opposed to a violation of law, but nevertheless, that we don't want that to happen. We don't want people to feel disrespected, and we try really hard not to, and sometimes things get a little out of hand. But again, I feel overall, the mayor did a great job trying to control the discussion and try to make everyone feel like they're being heard, and maybe we're all going to try to do that a little bit better.
I agree with that. I thank you, Mayor, for you keeping the order at the previous meeting. But I do agree with the comments made earlier that there should be some bylaws about how a town council meeting and the open comment period should be. So I hope you take that to heart. And it is very surprising that in 2022 there are no bylaws to how a town council meeting is run. So I think that needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Henry?
Yeah, you mentioned something about the flooding situation. I just want to ask a question, and somebody probably could look into this, maybe the town manager. When Mynheer Bedan bought the property over McDonald's Beach, one of the things that we had mentioned was a weir dam. And with a weir dam, what you would do is lower the bodies of water 6 feet. Right, that's the back lake, McDonald's Beach, and Woodland Lake. By doing that, okay, any water in a minor flood will fill up those bodies of water, right? And when the weather's clear, they can drain those lakes again. They open up the weir dam and they drain it into the river. And this was one of the things that we had talked about. Mike Lahouchik, I don't remember if you know Mike Lahouchik, he was very involved in the planning board. And we had talked about it, and I was hoping that somebody would find out about that weir dam if Mynheer Bedan ever installed it on his property.
We can look into it, I think.
That was a flood control.
Happy to follow up with you,
The
Mr.
town manager's writing it down.
All right, yeah, that would be a flood control issue. Okay, and I think it's very important. Mr. Hurd, would it hurt to apologize? Seriously. No, would it hurt to apologize? Come on. Mr. Dreesy, would it hurt to apologize? What's the big deal?
Apologize for what? I didn't.
For making a statement, you hope that New Jersey, you don't realize what you said hurts people, it harms people. Can't you just say, yeah, look, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said this thing. You can have your opinion, absolutely. But it wouldn't hurt to apologize. Be a man and do it, please. You too, Mr. Hurd, apologize to the public. Not just to those people that are, the way they are, okay? But to the entire township. Just apologize. What's the problem? The cat's got your tongue?
Yeah, it's not a time for back and forth.
Yeah, not right now.
I'm not saying there's no back and forth, I just want to know.
He's
Are you-
listening to you, he hears what your comment is.
We all hear it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else?
Amelia Molinaro, 50th 3rd Street. When we ask for an apology, we're not asking for you guys to apologize because of the way you spoke so rudely. You guys broke a common courtesy rule at these public speakings when you outspokenly spoke while someone else was trying to speak. It's not your place. It's not your job right now. You're supposed to sit. When you take your seat on that board, your job is to listen to our concerns. You were not listening. You damn nearly jumped over the table. You were so outraged. We deserve an apology from both of you. It is not your job to speak your public opinion when you sit there. That is not your job. Your job is to take care of us, to help our town. That's not your job. Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Yes, Peter.
Hello, my name is Peter Schmidt, 16 Manor Avenue. I'm deeply convinced that everybody here in this community cares about all our children, even the little bit older children. In that sense, and I love to live in this country because at the end, the country is always coming together. So I think the situation right now calls for some bridge in some way. And under bridge, I would mean first that everybody somehow makes clear that we really support them, all our children, and without exception. And the second would be to actually find something where we can support them, so they feel the support. Yeah, and one way is to talk to them and ask them. And then on a different note, yeah, if everything goes well, by the end of tomorrow, I will be grandfather.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? No, everybody's good. Okay. All right, if there's no more public comment, I'm going to move on to the approval of minutes, but we don't have any minutes to approve this evening, right? And we have no closed session, so if there is no further business, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
All right, meeting is adjourned at 8:08.